Alright, who did it? Who put Justin Timberlake as the lead in a high-budget sci-fi movie?
Worst movie ever!
Welcome to the worst movie ever. I'm Karl, and this is the show here on Karl's Movie Film Show where we hunt down the worst movie ever. So far, we've had 17 contenders for the title of worst movie ever, with the current reigning, defending, undisputed worst movie ever so far being Star Wars The Last Jedi. If you don't know why, check out the video right up here. Maybe it's like there. It's somewhere around here or in the description. And I just realized this morning, it's about a year since I actually did that video for Star Wars, because I remember I was trying to prep videos and get stuff out of the way so I could get into my Halloween stuff. So yeah, a long time since we did the Star Wars one. But the film up today, the contender right now, is a movie called In Time, which I believe came out around 2011. The movie's got a pretty good cast, including Olivia Wilde, Amanda Seyfried, and Cillian Murphy, on top of Justin Timberlake in the lead role for some reason. This movie was being made around a time where Justin Timberlake was fancying himself as something of a movie star and appeared in various movies. This perhaps being one of his bigger ones. Friends with Benefits was another, or was that the Ashton Kutcher one? There was two movies similar at the same time. And this movie is a sci-fi movie. It's an interesting little concept, but also a really stupid concept. So the way we generally do it here on the worst movie ever is we run down the story, we talk about the movie, and then we let you, the audience, decide if it is the worst movie ever. So far, still Star Wars, probably gonna stay Star Wars for a long time. The Last Jedi, that is. So In Time, a sci-fi movie in which when people reach the age of 25, they stop aging and a little counter on their arm starts counting down how long they have to live. Everybody gets one extra year, but they can top that up because time is the new currency. That's not stupid at all. Now, the movie does a clever little thing at the beginning of having Justin Timberlake do a voiceover and explaining what's happening, and then also saying, it doesn't matter how it happened, or I don't care how it happened.
I don't have time. I don't have time to worry about how it happened. It is what it is.
Clearly the writer just putting something in there going, look, it doesn't matter how it happened, don't overthink this. Just, it happened, okay? I just came up with this bullshit and you're gonna believe it. That's pretty much the opening voiceover. The whole thing of them having these counters in their arm and being born with these counters in their arm, which only has a year left, which activates when they're 25, meaning people don't age beyond the age of 25.
Confusing times. Is she my mother, my sister, my daughter? You're hoping she's not my wife. Things used to be simpler once, so I'm told.
They don't explain how they stopped the aging process, or how they've stopped people from dying, or eliminated disease, which would obviously kill off people. They do state in the movie that the only thing that could stop people living forever is a random act of violence. They also state later on in the movie that people are very safe in their choices. They don't do anything too crazy. That's Amanda Seyfried's whole thing. She wants to do something crazy because no one in her family does anything outlandish because they all don't want to die because people want to live forever. It's really stupid, but the main concept that's stupid is the main concept of the movie of time being a currency. Now, we set off on our journey in, of course, the poor district of the world where Justin Timberlake is grinding every day trying to get more minutes on the clock. He says at the start of the movie he just wants to wake up with more hours on his clock than there is in a day. Time being the currency leads to a lot of stupid things. For example, when Justin Timberlake is on his way to work one morning, he stops at a coffee shop and spends 4 minutes on a cup of coffee. Not 4 minutes drinking a cup of coffee, that's how much the coffee cost. Now, if you had limited time in life, you knew you had a counter on your arm, and when that hit 0, you were dead through, I don't know, osmosis? Is that what osmosis is? Everyone goes on about osmosis. It's probably osmosis. I do know what osmosis is. Are you really going to spend literal time of your life on a takeaway cup of coffee? You can just make it home and save yourself literal time of your life. Sure, it's only 4 minutes, but they keep saying that time's going up, inflation's going up, taxes are going up, because they're taxing your life now, literally. There's also a scene at the start where Justin Timberlake is talking to his mother, who's Olivia Wilde, and she states she's about 3 days of time on her clock. She decides to give Justin Timberlake, in her words, 30 minutes so he can get a good lunch or a nice lunch. Which is, again, kind of fucking stupid. This leads to a scene where we see Olivia Wilde try and get on a bus, I think after paying bills, and she just has an hour and a half left on her clock, but the bus journey is going to cost her 2 hours, and it's also going to cost her 2 hours to walk home, or take 2 hours to walk home. So she's in a catch-22. What's she gonna do? She can't take the bus, she starts running home. And Justin Timberlake is waiting for the bus doesn't get there, and we end up in this climactic scene where Justin Timberlake and Olivia Wilde are on different sides of the street, they're running towards each other, her clock is ticking down, and she doesn't quite make it. Spoiler alert. So at this point in the movie, it's very clear that somehow people on Earth have eradicated human decency that would, help the woman get home, because even a car passenger won't help her, no one on the bus will help her getting more time, and a bus driver won't give her any slack in getting home, so, everyone's kind of a dick. And on top of that, as I stated at the start, they've somehow eradicated all disease and everything that could possibly kill off humans, including heart attacks or brain aneurysms and all that stuff. That doesn't exist in this world, because only a random act of violence can kill these people or their clocks running down. Now, I don't need to run through the entire story, because it's kind of bleh. Justin Timberlake meets Amanda Seyfried, he fancies her, she happens to be the daughter of like the richest man in the world, or the guy who controls all the time, something to that effect. And long and short of it is Justin Timberlake steals Amanda Seyfried away from her family. Those two team up, start breaking into banks, giving time away to real people. Cillian Murphy's job is to stop them doing that. And then at the end, Cillian Murphy forgets to top up his time and gets killed. So Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried get away and save the day, giving time out to everybody. The story's not the stupidest part of this movie. The story's fairly bland. It's basically a Robin Hood story. They want to steal from the rich to give to the poor, and that's what they do. But also, everyone has these clocks on their hand, and they show in the movie, like I mentioned in the scene when Olivia Wilde gives Justin Timberlake time at the start of the movie, the way people give time to each other is they put their hand on top of each other's hand, or their hand on top of each other's wrist. And whoever's hand is on top is the person taking the time from the other person. They don't explain how they control how much time they take or how much time they give. They just do it. Again, osmosis probably. But whoever's hand is on top is the one taking the time. Even later on, there's a scene with these bad guys, who I think they call the Minutemen, which again is kind of stupid. The leader of that is faced off with Justin Timberlake, and they're having a fight where Goon Guy has his hand on top of Justin Timberlake's hand, and Justin Timberlake's hand is on top of his hand, and it's whoever can keep their hand on top of the other one's hand the longest as their clocks tick down. Which leads to the question, why wouldn't there be just rampant crime where people walk up to people and just take their time? Anyone stronger than someone else can literally just grab someone's hand, hold it, take all their time and go away. Or take most of their time, leave them with 10 minutes. They can say, hey, I left them some time, I'm not a complete bad guy, I didn't kill him, I just left them with little time. Someone could come along and constantly take other people's time and, leave everyone else with nothing. Literally the strongest would survive. Why not do that? And then the other thing that's really annoying in this movie is clearly the reason the writer thought this was hilarious throughout the movie is all of the time puns within the movie.
It's the poor little rich girl. I never got a chance to properly thank you for your time.
You got a minute?
Sylvia?
You couldn't spare a second, Father? I wish I could say I'm surprised.
It happens all the way through the movie. Clearly they thought they were being really clever. It was really fucking stupid. But the whole concept is stupid. It doesn't matter if the performances are amazing, which, Justin Timberlake at this point wasn't a very good actor, at least for these type of roles. He does well in comedy stuff. This type of stuff, he was a bit meh. Amanda Seyfried's a very good actor. Cillian Murphy and Olivia Wilde, they all do a decent little job. Olivia Wilde isn't in the movie for too long, and the way Cillian Murphy's killed off is kind of stupid that he just forgets to top up his time. Because on top of the story being nonsensical, the idea being kind of stupid, and the acting at times being pretty damn poor, and even some of the visuals and colouring and just overall look of the film not really holding up anymore, the movie is very slow paced, and it's about 2 hours long. So you really need to put in time to watch this movie. In time. I'm clever. I said time in a review about a movie called In Time. Basically, that's what they did in the movie. They were just like, hey, give me a minute of your time. Show me the money. No, that was a different movie. But you get my point. If you've seen In Time, you'll probably know it's a pretty stupid movie.
Worst movie ever!